You're already as good as dead.
My husband abandoned me and our triplets during my cancer battle. Years later, thinking I was dead. You're already as good as dead. I can't waste my life on you and those brats. Those were the merciless words my husband spat at me when I was at my weakest, fighting cancer with our triplets crying at my side. He walked away, abandoning us in sickness and despair, choosing freedom over family. Years passed, and the world believed his lies. He thought I was gone forever, buried with the pain he left behind. But sometimes life writes a different ending. Sometimes the one you abandon returns in a way that shatters everything you built on their ashes. This is my story. The story of a woman left to die who rose again with a strength no betrayal could kill. And today it is being retold by me. Hello family, welcome back. Before we begin, I have a small but heartfelt request. Please subscribe. Your support is what keeps these stories alive. Every time you click that button, you're helping us share voices that would otherwise be forgotten and stories that deserve to be heard. And in the comments, tell us where you're watching from, because together, we are not just telling stories, we are keeping hope alive. The hospital room was too quiet for a place filled with so much pain. Eleanor Walker sat on the edge of the exam bed, one hand resting on her stomach, the other gripping the edge of the thin mattress. Her heart raced, but her face stayed calm. For the babies. The doctor's words had been clear, but her brain couldn't catch up. Stage 2 cervical cancer. Her triplets were barely 4 months old. The nights were long, the diapers endless. She hadn't slept in days. And now, cancer? She stared blankly ahead as the doctor kept talking, explaining treatments, options, survival rates. But all she could hear was the soft sound of her baby's giggles from the stroller nearby. Then came Marcus, bursting into the room, expensive suit still crisp, designer watch catching the light. He flashed a concerned smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Eleanor," he said, rushing to her side. "What's going on?" What did they say? She looked up at him, searching for the man she married, the man who once promised to love her through sickness and health. "I have cancer," she whispered. His face dropped, but not in shock. More like annoyance, almost like the word had ruined his day. "What?" he said. "Are you sure?" She nodded slowly. "Stage 2. It's serious, but treatable. We caught it early, but it's going to be tough, and I'll need help. With the kids, the house." He stepped back. "Jesus, Elena. This is a lot." Her voice cracked. "I know. But I can fight this. I just need dash dash." "Yeah," he cut in, pacing the room. Of course, we'll fight this. Together." But she saw it. The hesitation, the shift in his eyes. It wasn't fear. It was calculation. That night at home, Marcus didn't sleep in their bed. He said he had a late meeting, but Elena woke at 2 a.m. to find his side cold and empty. She rocked one of the babies, trying not to let the tears fall. She told herself he was just stressed, that this was overwhelming, for both of them. But things only got worse. The next few weeks were a blur of doctor visits, medications, and sleepless nights. Elena grew weaker. Her hair started falling out. Some days, she couldn't even stand without help. And Marcus, he started leaving earlier, coming home later, avoiding eye contact, and always on his phone. "Marcus, I need you," she said one morning, barely able to hold a bottle to feed the twins. "I'm drowning here," he rolled his eyes. "You think I'm not dealing with things too? I'm out there working, trying to keep this house standing while you lie in bed all day." That one stung. "I'm not lying in bed," she whispered. "I'm sick. You know that. You're always sick now." He said it under his breath, but she heard it. And in that moment, she felt more alone than ever. One Sunday morning, they went to church together. Marcus insisted on it, wanted to show face, he said. At the service, He clutched her hand like a devoted husband. When the pastor asked for prayers for the sick, Marcus stood and publicly asked for strength for his brave wife battling cancer. People clapped, some cried. One woman hugged Eleanor after and said, "You're so lucky to have a man like him." Eleanor nodded politely. But inside, something had cracked, because the night before she had found a text on his phone. "I miss you already. Can't wait to see you again." V. She hadn't said anything yet. She wanted to believe it was a misunderstanding, but when she checked again the next night, the messages were gone. Deleted. Later that week, Marcus came home with a new shirt. Designer, expensive, and definitely not on their budget. "Is that new?" she asked, holding a crying baby in one arm and a spit-up rag in the other. He glanced at her. "Yeah. I had a meeting with who?" "Business stuff. You wouldn't get it." He walked past her, brushing off the question like she was a stranger. But Elena did get it. Angela, Elena's old friend and a nurse, came by one evening to help with the babies. Elena finally broke down. "I think he's cheating," she said quietly, tears spilling down her cheeks. "He's not here. He's angry all the time. He looks at me like I'm disgusting." Angela frowned. "You're not crazy, Elena. You've always had a gut for these things." "But I'm sick," she said. "What if I'm just being paranoid?" Angela squeezed her hand. "Paranoia doesn't delete messages, and if he's walking out on you now, while you're fighting for your life, then he was never worth it to begin with." 2 nights later, the truth broke wide open. Elena woke up thirsty. She walked downstairs and heard Marcus's voice in the living room. He was on the phone, didn't know she was there. She froze behind the wall. His voice was cold, sharp. "No, I'm not dragging this out. She's basically dead already." Elena's breath caught. "I can't waste my life on her and those brats. I need out. This is the only shot I've got." Then silence. The call ended. Elena stood there for a long time, frozen, shaking. The man she loved, the father of her children, the one she trusted above all else, had just written her off like garbage. She backed up the stairs slowly, her legs trembling, heart in pieces. The next morning, he was gone. The closet half empty, his car missing. A single note on the counter. "Don't try to find me." That was it. No goodbye, no explanation, just a final slap in the face. Eleanor dropped to her knees, the babies crying behind her. Her vision blurred, her chest tightened. And then, she collapsed. The sound of a baby crying pulled Angela from sleep. She had dozed off on the couch, planning to stay the night to help Elena get some rest. But something didn't feel right. She sat up fast, listening. Another cry. Then another. All 3 babies were wailing. Angela rushed upstairs and found them screaming in their cribs. But where was Eleanor? "Lena!" she called out. No answer. She checked the bedroom. Empty. Panic rising, she ran down the hall and found Eleanor lying on the hallway floor, pale, sweating, barely breathing. "Eleanor?" Angela dropped to her knees and checked her pulse. It was there, but weak. Her lips were dry, her skin cold. Angela called 911 with shaking fingers. At the hospital, doctors worked fast. Elena had collapsed from extreme exhaustion, dehydration and stress, combined with the toll of cancer. She was lucky to be alive. Angela stayed by her side, feeding the babies in the waiting room and checking in on Elena every hour. When Elena finally opened her eyes, everything felt blurry. Her throat was dry and her body ached all over, but her mind was sharp. "Where are they?" she asked, barely above a whisper. Angela leaned in. "The babies are safe. They're okay, and you're safe too. You're in the hospital." Elena blinked slowly. "He's gone." Angela nodded. "I know." For days, Elena didn't speak much. She watched the ceiling, listened to the sounds of the hospital, took her meds when asked, fed her babies with trembling hands. The silence was loud. It wrapped around her like a heavy blanket. Marcus had left. Not just her, but their children. He didn't even check if she survived. He just vanished, leaving them all behind like they never mattered. She looked at her babies, tiny, innocent, needing everything from her. She wanted to scream, to cry, to punch something, but instead she held them, all three, as close as she could. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." Angela came in one afternoon holding a stack of paperwork. "I found something," she said. Elena sat up slowly. Angela placed the papers on her lap. "Marcus drained your savings account 2 weeks ago. Right before he left," Elena blinked. "What?" "He took everything. All the money you had saved, even the small inheritance from your mother. It's gone." Elena covered her mouth with her hand, trying to hold back a sob. Angela went on quietly. "And I checked the life insurance policy. Your name was listed as the beneficiary, but Marcus filed a claim, pretending you had passed. It was denied, but he tried." Tears filled Eleanor's eyes. "He wanted me gone," she whispered. "Really gone." Angela nodded, her jaw clenched. "He wanted a clean slate. No wife, no kids, just money and freedom." Over the next few weeks, Elena stayed in the hospital to recover. Her cancer treatment was adjusted. Slower now, less aggressive, since her body was so weak. She didn't have the strength to fight Marcus legally, not yet. She didn't have the money either. But what she did have was time. Every night, she whispered the same promise to her children as they slept beside her. "I'm not done. He may think I'm buried, but I'm still breathing. And one day, he'll see just how alive I really am." Meanwhile, far away in a luxury condo, Marcus poured wine for Vanessa Hale. "Everything behind me," he said, slipping an arm around her waist. "It's just you and me now." She smiled. "You're sure she's gone?" He nodded. "Dead and buried. Trust me." Vanessa clinked her glass to his. "To fresh starts." He smiled, completely unaware that the past he tried to erase had just taken a deep breath and wasn't going anywhere. Elena Walker woke up to the sound of roosters, not traffic. She was lying on a worn-out mattress inside a small 2-bedroom home in a quiet rural town. The walls were thin, the floors creaked, and the kitchen sink dripped all night. But it was safe. It was hidden. She slowly sat up, wincing from the stiffness in her bones. The chemo had left her weak. Her body was a battlefield. But she was still here, still breathing. The triplets were asleep in the next room, cuddled together in a crib that Angela had found from a local church. They didn't know what had happened. They only knew their mother's scent and warmth. Eleanor brushed her hand over her scalp, still bald from treatment. Her reflection in the mirror barely looked human. Pale skin, sunken cheeks, tired eyes. A ghost of the woman she used to be. But ghosts don't die. They wait. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love you to join our community by hitting the subscribe button. Through our stories, we build hope and give future to children and women abused all over the world. Motivate us by subscribing to hitting the subscribe button and turning on your notification bell. Also let us know in the comments where you are watching us from and how this story hit home for you. Angela had saved her life in more ways than one. After Elena collapsed, Angela pulled every string she had at the hospital. She arranged for Elena to be discharged early under a different name, Ellie James. She got a doctor she trusted to sign off the papers and helped move her and the babies to a rural area 3 hours away. No one there knew Elena Walker. And that was the point. Marcus had made sure Elena had no family left. Before he vanished, he poisoned every relationship she had, spreading lies to her relatives that she was unstable, impossible to live with, and refusing treatment. So when Marcus told them Elena had died, they believed him. He even held a funeral. Angela had found out through an old friend in the city. It was small, private. Marcus cried in front of a priest, holding one of the babies for dramatic effect. "He said you passed peacefully," Angela told her. Claimed he did everything he could to save you. Eleanor stared at her in disbelief. He buried me? Alive? Angela nodded. He's got everyone fooled, she said. The man deserves an Oscar. A few months later, the news got worse. Marcus married Vanessa Hale. The wedding was extravagant, held at her father's vineyard. Photos of the happy couple were splashed across local society pages. Marcus wore a tailored tux. Vanessa wore a gown worth more than Elena's entire savings. But the part that burned deepest was the caption on one photo. Marcus Walker, widowed father of triplets, finds love again after heartbreak. He had built a new life on Elena's grave. At night, when the kids were asleep, Elena would scroll through the internet with trembling hands, searching for signs of the man who destroyed her. Marcus was doing interviews now, selling himself as a dedicated father and mental health advocate. He even started a non-profit, the Elena Foundation for Women's Cancer Awareness. He used her name, her suffering, to raise money, to gain praise, to become someone. She should have been furious. She was furious, but her kids were her anchor. I want to fight, she told Angela one night. I want to burn it all down, but if I show my face now, he'll take them. He has power, connections. He could twist it all. Angela nodded. Then we wait. We get you stronger. You build yourself in silence. And when you come back like a storm. So she did. Years passed. Elena worked odd jobs under the radar, cleaning homes, babysitting, doing laundry for elderly neighbors. Angela helped when she could, driving back and forth on weekends with groceries or medicine. The kids grew, healthy, happy. They called her Mommy with love and laughed without fear. Elena's hair grew back. Her cheeks filled in. She learned how to live again, but she never forgot. Then came the twist. Angela came into the kitchen one Saturday with a manila envelope in her hand. Her face was tight. I did some digging, she said, sliding it across the table. Inside were copies of forged documents, a fake death certificate, stolen account numbers, a list of financial transactions Marcus made under Elena's name after she had died. He tried to cash in on your life insurance, Angela said. He failed, but he took your inheritance. The account from your mom. Gone. Transferred to a shell company. All in his name. Elena stared at the papers. Her jaw clenched. He killed me on paper, to steal from me. Angela nodded. And everyone thinks he's a saint. Later that week, a video popped up on Elena's social feed. It had already gone viral. The caption read, Marcus Walker receives the Humanitarian of the Year award for his work in cancer advocacy. The video showed Marcus standing on stage, smiling for the cameras. Vanessa was beside him, glowing. Behind them, a huge banner waved, the Elena Foundation Gala for Women's Strength. Elena stared at the screen, heart pounding. He was still using her name, her pain, her story. He had turned her entire life into a brand, one built on lies. She stood there, trembling with rage. Angela watched her carefully. Say the word, she said. We can start taking him down. Eleanor's voice was cold, steady. Not yet. Let him climb higher. Let the world worship him. She paused. Because the higher he goes, the harder he'll fall. It had been nearly 5 years since Elena Walker died. Now she stood in front of a dusty storefront on the edge of the city, the keys to a new life in her hand. The old sign read, J&L Home Goods. She'd bought it under her new legal identity, Ellie James. Everything was clean. Nothing tied back to her old life. Angela stood beside her, holding a box of supplies. You sure you're ready for this? Eleanor nodded, her eyes firm. I've been hiding long enough. The shop took months to shape. Elena used every spare dollar from her years of work in hiding to fix it up. She painted walls, refloored the back room, and brought in handmade goods from women in local shelters. It wasn't just a business. It was a quiet rebellion. A second chance. Her triplets, now 5 years old, ran around the aisles, giggling as they played hide-and-seek behind display shelves. To everyone in the neighborhood, Ellie James was a single mother who'd survived cancer and built a new life from scratch. No one questioned where she came from, only what she stood for. And slowly, the shop became a small success. But that wasn't her goal. Her goal was to rebuild power in silence until she could crush the man who tried to erase her. Angela had a plan. It started with a phone call to an old friend in the media, Darren Cole, a journalist known for digging into corporate corruption. She arranged a quiet meeting at Elena's store after hours. Darren showed up wearing a leather jacket, thick-rimmed glasses, and a skeptical look on his face. "So let me get this straight," he said, sipping bad coffee. "You want me to expose Marcus Walker? The same guy with his face on every charity billboard downtown?" Elena didn't flinch. "He faked my death, stole my inheritance, lied to the world. And now he runs a cancer charity in my name." Darren blinked. "You're Elena Walker?" "Legally, no," she said. "But biologically, emotionally, and painfully, yes." She slid a folder across the table. It was full of documents, forged signatures, fake death certificates, financial transfers, all carefully compiled by Angela over the past few years. Darren's expression changed. "I've heard whispers about this guy," he muttered. "But no one ever had receipts like this." "You do now," Elena said. "But I don't want you to publish it, yet." Darren frowned. "Then what do you want?" "I want to burn him down in front of the people who praise him. And when the time comes, I'll give you everything." While Darren began digging deeper into Marcus's business practices, Eleanor played her part. She sent anonymous tips to regulatory boards, submitted fake reports using burner emails, clipped documents, forwarded redacted versions of Marcus's accounting to watchdog groups, and always made sure they came from concerned insiders. She didn't speak her name, she didn't show her face, but the cracks started forming. One day, a foundation partner quietly pulled out of a charity event. A bank paused a loan on one of Marcus's properties. A former accountant leaked records to a small blog. The empire Marcus built on Elena's ashes had termites in the walls, and it was all collapsing from the inside. Meanwhile, Vanessa Walker, formerly Hale, was feeling the pressure too. At first, being married to Marcus had been a dream. Lavish dinners, designer clothes, perfect smiles. But the shine wore off fast. Marcus was always distracted, secretive, controlling. He didn't want her working, didn't want her seeing certain friends, and any time she asked questions about his past, he'd shut down. "Why don't we ever talk about your first wife?" she asked one night. "She's dead," he snapped. "What is there to talk about?" But something felt off. She had gone through old photos once and noticed that none of them showed Elena pregnant. None of the baby pictures had timestamps. There were no hospital bracelets, no birth announcements, just staged moments. Vanessa started digging. She paid a private investigator, quietly, to look into the death certificate Marcus had filed. The report came back disturbing. The certificate had never been verified by the state. It was flagged as incomplete. When she confronted Marcus, he laughed it off. "It was a paperwork error," he said. "You know how broken the system is." But that night, Vanessa couldn't sleep. She searched Marcus's email when he left his laptop open and found a forwarded transfer record. Money pulled from Elena's inheritance, sent to a private account. Weeks after the date, he claimed Elena died. Her stomach turned. She stared at the screen for a long time, whispering to herself, "Oh my God. What did you do?" 2 weeks later, Vanessa stood in front of the mirror, holding a positive pregnancy test. She was going to be a mother. The fear hit her like a truck. Would Marcus do the same to her? Would he throw her away the moment she became a burden? When she told him, he barely blinked. "That's great," he said, reaching for his phone mid-conversation. "Just, let's keep it quiet for now. PR's tight this month." She stared at him. "You're not happy?" He looked up. "I'm focused. This is a delicate time for me." She said nothing, but she was already crumbling inside. Later that night, she confronted him again. "I know you forged Elena's death certificate." Marcus didn't flinch. "I know you stole her money," she continued, her voice trembling. "And I know she's probably not dead." Now he reacted, slowly setting his drink down, jaw tightening. "Vanessa," he said, walking toward her, "if you say those things out loud, if you even suggest them to anyone, your life will explode. Do you understand me?" She backed up. "I'm carrying your child." "I know," he said calmly, "which is exactly why you're going to sit still, smile for the camera, and forget all this." She was crying now. "I can't live like this." He cut her off. "If you leave now, your child will grow up in disgrace. Marked by scandal, no father, no support. You'll be a single mother living under the shadow of a dead woman." His voice lowered. "Think about that." She said nothing, just turned away. But inside her, something hardened. Back at her shop, Eleanor watched everything unfold from behind the scenes. Angela brought her a flash drive with new info: tax fraud, charity embezzlement, backdoor deals, all tied to Marcus. Darren had confirmed it too. The story was almost ready to go live. But Elena stopped him. "Not yet," she said. "Let him invite the whole world to his next show. Let them worship him one last time." Darren smiled. "You sure know how to build a climax." "I've waited 5 years," she said. "I can wait a few more weeks." That's when it happened. An email hit Elena's inbox from Marcus's PR firm. They didn't know who she really was, of course. The invite was sent to local business owners as part of a citywide campaign. Subject line: "The Elena Foundation Gala, honoring women battling cancer." She read the message twice. Marcus was planning a gala in her name. Again, using her story, her face, her suffering, as a marketing tool. She smiled. This time she would walk into the room herself. For the next few weeks, she prepared. Angela helped her get fitted for a dress. Darren tightened the story for release. Vanessa, secretly in contact with Elena now, agreed to bring one final piece of evidence: Marcus's original signed letter of abandonment. The babies, now growing kids, were told nothing. They stayed with a sitter the night of the event. Eleanor stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her earrings. Her reflection stared back, calm, sharp, and unrecognizable from the weak woman who had once collapsed on a hallway floor. She wasn't Eleanor Walker anymore. She was the woman who survived. And she was about to bury Marcus. For real this time. The ballroom glittered with gold chandeliers and soft piano music. Waiters in black tuxedos served wine and appetizers as cameras flashed from every corner. This was Marcus Walker's night. A large banner hung behind the stage. The Elena Foundation Gala, honoring women battling cancer. Dozens of local leaders, celebrities, and press were in attendance. Vanessa stood beside Marcus in a fitted red dress, hands folded neatly in front of her. She looked like the perfect political wife, but her eyes were distant. Her heart wasn't in the room anymore. Neither was her loyalty. Marcus took the stage as the spotlight hit him. "Thank you all for coming tonight," he began, smiling at the crowd. "This night is dedicated to a woman who once touched my life deeply, and whose memory continues to inspire thousands of women fighting cancer every day." Applause filled the room. He soaked it in. But the clapping stopped suddenly. Gasps echoed near the back entrance. Every head turned. And there she was. Elena Walker, alive, unmasked, and walking straight into the fire. She wore a sleek black dress, her hair, now shoulder-length, curled around her face. She looked nothing like the fragile woman Marcus had left behind. But he knew it was her. He froze. His lips parted, but no words came out. The cameras turned. The room went silent, then erupted. Reporters shouted, phones flashed. People stood, some whispering, others pointing. Vanessa dropped her glass. Elena stopped at the base of the stage and locked eyes with Marcus. "You weren't expecting me," she said softly, but the microphone picked it up. Marcus stepped back. "Elena, this isn't what it looks like." Vanessa stepped away from him, her hands shaking. She turned to face the crowd, then back to Marcus. She pulled her engagement ring from her finger and let it drop at his feet. Clink. Then she walked off stage. She didn't look back. Security didn't stop Elena. No one moved. She took the stage calmly, pulling out a folder from her purse. "Good evening," she said, voice firm. "I'm Eleanor Walker. Not the memory you all think you're here to honor. Not the face behind this fake charity. I'm the woman he buried, on paper, in reputation, and in truth." She held up the documents. "And tonight, I'm taking my life back." The crowd murmured. She handed the folder to a reporter in the front row. "In these documents," she continued, "you'll find proof that Marcus Walker forged my death certificate, emptied my inheritance, and attempted to file for my life insurance using false records." She looked directly at Marcus, who was visibly sweating now. "He stole from me. He abandoned our children while I was fighting for my life. Then he built a charity in my name, not to help others, but to launder stolen money and feed his ego." A woman in the audience stood. "Is this true?" she asked, staring up at Marcus. "Did you really fake your wife's death?" More people rose. Cameras zoomed in. Marcus tried to speak, but his mouth wouldn't cooperate. Then Darren Cole, the journalist who had followed the case from the shadows, stepped forward with a police officer at his side. "I think that's enough," Darren said, nodding to the officer. "Marcus Walker," the officer announced, stepping onto the stage. "You are under arrest for fraud, identity theft, forgery, and embezzlement." Gasps and shouting filled the room. Marcus stepped back. "Wait! No, this is all lies. She's setting me up." Eleanor didn't flinch. "You left me to die," she said softly. "But I didn't." As Marcus was cuffed and led off stage, Eleanor turned to the crowd. Now silent, some teary-eyed, others stunned. She stepped forward and spoke into the mic, calm and steady. "I'm not here for revenge. I'm not here for sympathy." She took a breath, her voice breaking slightly, but her strength holding. "I'm here to remind you that sometimes survival is louder than vengeance. You don't always have to fight with fists or fire. Sometimes you fight by healing, by standing, by speaking your name out loud after they tried to erase it." She looked around the room. "You left me to die," she repeated, this time addressing Marcus, though he was already gone. "But I didn't. I lived. I raised the children you tossed aside. We didn't need your name. We found our own strength." A few people clapped, then more, until the entire room rose to their feet. It wasn't applause for a hero, it was respect for a survivor.